Okay guys, we're going to go over the similar figures quiz review. The first question says, triangle RST is similar to triangle XYZ. Find the length of XY. Okay, so the first thing I like to do is I like to stack the letters. So RST, excuse me, is similar to XYZ. And they're asking me to find XY. So I'm going to go ahead and label that X. Okay, so RS, for example, which is 4 meters, RS, 4 meters, it's going to correspond with XY, which is what they're asking us to find, which is X. So I'm going to go back to the first figure, and I can pick either the slant or the height here, so either one. So I'm going to pick the slant. So the slant, which is 6, that's going to correspond to the slant, which is 18. So by stacking the letters, I have been able to identify the corresponding sides. So now to find X, I need to cross multiply. So 6 times X is 6X. And then 18 times 4, again, remember you can use a calculator. That's going to give me 72. And then I'm going to divide each side by 6 to isolate X. And I'm going to get that X equals 12 meters. So again, by stacking the letters, I can see that RS corresponds to XY. And then the other two that I used were RT, first and last, which is the slant. That's going to correspond with XZ, first and last, which is also the slant. As I mentioned before, you could have also set it up as 4 over X equals 5 over 15. Again, these are still corresponding, 5 and 15. So if I did it that way, it's 5 times X, which equals 5X. 4 times 15, which is 60. And then if I divide each side by 5, I'm still going to get X equals 12 meters. Okay, number 2. If triangle ABC is similar to triangle EFD, find the length of AC. So it's asking me to find AC. So AC is this guy. So I'm going to label that X. Again, I like to stack my letters to help me identify corresponding sides. So I'm going to stack ABC with EFD. So I'm trying to find AC. So I'm going to start with that. AC, which is first and last, is going to be the same as ED, first and last. So X corresponds to 3. And then again, I can pick any of the remaining parts. So I am going to pick here again the slant, which is 35. So that's BC, middle and last. So BC is 35. That's going to correspond to FD, middle and last. So FD is 5. So to find X, I'm going to cross multiply. So 5 times X is 5X. And 35 times 3 is going to give me 105. And then I'm going to divide each side by 5, and I'm going to find that X equals 21 feet. Okay? Again, if you didn't use 35 and 5, you could have also used the remaining corresponding side. All right, number 3. Given trapezoid HEFG is similar to trapezoid MJKL, find X. So again, I'm going to stack my letters so that I can identify corresponding sides. So that's what I'm doing right now, HEFG and MJKL. And I'm trying to find X. So I'm going to start with that. So X is FG. If you look here, X is FG. So FG corresponds with KL. So KL is 5.1, setting up a proportion. And I'm going to go back to the first figure. So that's your verbal model that you could use, first over second. And I've already used X, so now I'm going to use 7.2. That's the remaining side I'm given. And that's EH or HE. So HE is going to correspond with MJ. So that's 3.6. So now that I've set up my proportion, again, I'm going to cross multiply. So 3.6x equals 7.2 times 5.1. That's going to give me 36.72. I'm going to divide each side by 3.6 to isolate x. And I'm going to find that x equals 10.2 milliliters. So for this one, you don't have any extra corresponding sides, so you don't have the choice. You only have to use what's given. Okay? All right. Next one, triangle sun is similar to triangle fox. Which side in triangle sun corresponds to the side FO? Again, if you stack your letters, that helps you figure out corresponding sides. It's asking which side corresponds to FO. So if I look at FO here, that's first and middle. So first and middle would be SU, which is letter B. So number 4 is letter B. All right. Moving along. Next question is number 5. Number 5 says quadrilateral PQMN is similar to quadrilateral WXYZ. What is the measure of angle Y? Again, if I stack my letters, PQMN and WXYZ, I can see that these are corresponding angles. And so it's asking for angle Y. And so angle Y corresponds with angle M in PQMN. So if I look at angle M, it's 115 degrees. That means that angle Y is also going to be 115 degrees because similar figures have the same angle measures. So again, by stacking the letters, I can correspond M with Y, and so if M is 115 degrees, then Y will also be 115 degrees, which is letter D. Okay, number 6. If two rectangles are similar, which proportion is not true? Again, I'm going to stack my letters, okay? And for stacking my letters, I am going to do clockwise. So I'm going to say A, B, C, D. So I have to stack this one myself. So I'm going to go clockwise here, and I'm going to say E, F, G, and H. Okay, so this question is saying which proportion is not true. So I'm going to go through each answer individually and determine which one is not true. Okay, so the first one says side AB, which is this guy, side AB up here, corresponds with EF, which would be the top here. So far that's true. And then side AD, which is this side right here, so first and last, is going to correspond with EH. So that is true. Question is saying which is not true. Okay, next question says side AB, which is the top here, corresponds with EF, which is the top, again, first and middle, so far that's true. And then side BC, which is this side right here, corresponds with HG, which is the bottom. So this is not true. So far B is the answer. Okay, so I'm just going to double check C and D to make sure that they are true, since the question says which is not true. All right, side DC, which is the bottom, is going to correspond with CB. So this time we're doing DC and CB in the 1. So bottom and right side is saying, does that correspond with HG, which is the bottom, and the right side GF of this rectangle? Yes. So we've got bottom and right side, so that is true. Another way of setting up your proportion. And then over here we've got AD, which is the left side, AD, the left side, and the bottom, DC, AD and DC, so side AD and DC correspond to EH, the left side, and HG, the bottom. So that is true. So again, the answer to number 6 is B, because that is not true. Those sides do not correspond. Okay, moving on to number 7. This says, select all figures that are not similar to the following figure. So I'm going to figure out which ones are not similar to this rectangle, which is a 7 by 3. Well, if I look at option A, 7, which is the height here, is still 7, and 3, the base, is 4. So I could do this a couple different ways. I could say 7 over 3 in the top figure here is going to correspond with 7/4. And I could cross multiply and see if I get the same cross product. 7 times 4 is 28, and 7 times 3 is 21. Since the cross products are not the same, this is not similar. And so since the question says which is not, A is one of the answers. So that's one way you can see it. You can also see that there's no scale factor between 7 and 7 and 3 and 4. All right, let's look at option B. If I look at 7 here, the height, it's now 21. So 7 times 3 gives me 21. And if I look at the base here, it's 3. But in this new image, it's now 9. So 3 times 3 is also 9. So this looks like it has a scale factor of 3 times the size. So this is similar. So I'm not going to pick letter B. All right, letter C. If I look at the relationship between 7 here, the height, and 28, it looks like it's times 4. 7 times 4 is 28. And if I look at the relationship between the base and the base, 3 to 9 is times 3. And so since the scale factor is not the same, for example here, 7 to 4 is 28 and 3 to 9 is 3, two different scale factors, 4 and 3, this is not similar. So I'm going to pick C. Another way I could do this is I could say 7/3, so 7 in the original image over 3 corresponds to 28 and 9. And if I cross multiply, I'm going to see that the cross products are not the same. So 7 times 9, for example, is 63. And then 28 times 3 is 84. And so since 63 and 84 are not equal, these two figures are not similar. Lastly, letter D, if I look at the relationship between 7 and 3.5, that looks like I'm multiplying by a half, because half of 7 is 3.5. And if I'm looking at the relationship between 3, the base, and 1.5, the base, I'm also multiplying by 1/2, because half of 3 is 1.5. So D is similar. So again, since the question is asking which is not similar, I'm going to pick A and C. Again, it's a select all, so I have multiple answers. Okay, moving on to number 8. In the image below, triangle ABC, I'm going to start stacking now, is similar to triangle DEF. Select the 3 statements that are true. What's nice about number 8 is I'm telling you that you must pick 3 statements that are true. So there's 3 correct answers here. Okay, so I'm going to use my letters to help me with this. Angle B is congruent to angle F. So angle B is congruent to angle F. That's not true because that's middle and last. So we're not going to pick A. Okay, next option here. Angle A is congruent to angle D, so that those are both the first. So angle A is congruent to D, so B is correct. If I look here, A has 1 tick mark and so does D, so that does work. And then letter C says side BC, which is middle and last, is congruent to side EF, which is middle and last. So that is true. So again, BC and EF are corresponding. And then letter D says side DF, which is first and last, is congruent to side BA, which is middle and first. So that's not true. And lastly, angle C is congruent to angle F. They're in the same spot. You can see that they're also in the same spot when you stack. C and F are both last. You can also see that since this has 3 marks and this has 3 marks, that means that they are congruent. They're the same measure. So that is true. So again, for number 8, select the 3 statements that are true. You should have picked B, C, and E. All right, number 9 is a real world scenario, and it reads, a child's desk is made so that it is a replica of a full-size adult desk. Suppose the top of the full-size desk measures 54 inches long by 36 inches wide. If the top of a child's desk is 24 inches wide and is similar to the full-size desk, what is the length? So this question is telling you that this is a child-sized desk and this is the adult-sized desk. And they are similar because they're the same desk. So they're the same shape, but they're different sizes, okay? And we're asked to find X. So X corresponds to 54, the top in the adult-sized desk, and 24 in the child-sized desk corresponds to 36. So I've set up my proportion using corresponding sides. Now I'm going to cross multiply. 36 times x is 36x. And 54 times 24, remember you can use a calculator, is 1,296. I'm going to divide each side by 36 to find x. And I'm going to find that x equals 36 inches. All right, so number 10, we're now dealing with vocabulary. It says identify the name that does not describe the quadrilateral shown. So I would pick D because a square is not a trapezoid. However, a square is a square is a rectangle, and a square is a rhombus. Remember, a square is a rectangle because a square like a rectangle is four-sided. A square like a rectangle is a parallelogram. And a square is a rhombus because a square like a rhombus is four-sided. A square like a rhombus, it has four equal sides, and a square like a rhombus is a parallelogram. One more similarity between squares and rectangles is they both have four right angles. Again, so number 10 says which does not describe the quadrilateral shown. It's not a trapezoid because remember, a trapezoid only has one pair of parallel sides, which is this guy and this guy. Therefore, it is not a parallelogram, which a square is. Okay, moving on. Number 11, another vocab question. So number 11 says, I am a polygon. I have four sides. I have one pair of parallel sides, which could be my bases. Which polygon am I? So number 11 is a trapezoid. And the thing that kind of gives it away that it's a trapezoid is that it says I have one pair of parallel sides, and it could be my bases. So if I look at a right trapezoid, the top and bottom here are the bases, and that's the one pair of parallel sides. And if I look at a non-right trapezoid, the top and bottom here are the bases, and that's the one pair of parallel sides. And both of these trapezoids are four-sided, and they're both polygons. All right, number 12. Number 12 says, which statement is always true about a rhombus? So the always true statement is letter D. It has four congruent sides. So if you remember, a rhombus is a tilted square, and a rhombus, like a square, has four equal sides. So that's the true statement. Now, A, it has four right angles. Because it's tilted, it does not have four right angles. The sum of the measures of the angles is 180 degrees. Remember, the sum of any quadrilateral is 360. So that's not true. And it has exactly one pair of parallel sides. No, it actually has two pairs of parallel sides, the top and bottom here, and then the slanted sides. So that's not true. So it would be D. All right, number 13 is another vocab. What is the sum of the measures of all interior angles of any quadrilateral? That's just something you have to memorize. It's 360 degrees. That means that the total measures of any four-sided figure, of the angles of any four-sided figure, is 360 degrees. So in number 14, we're going to use that information now because it says find the missing angle measure of the given quadrilateral. So if I know that the sum of four angles in a quadrilateral is 360 degrees, and I'm given 106 degrees, 67 degrees, and 131 degrees, I can subtract that from the quadrilateral. I can subtract those three measures from the quadrilateral, which is 360, to find x. So when I subtract 131, 106, 67, all from 360, I'm going to find that x equals 56 degrees. And remember, you can use a calculator. So again, you just need to remember that the sum of the four angles in any quadrilateral is 360 degrees. If you have a hard time remembering that, think about a rectangle. It's a quadrilateral. It has four angles, and each angle is 90 degrees. And so 90 times 4 equals 360. So this applies to any quadrilateral. All right, last question, number 15. What is the best classification of the figures in the given diagram? So if I look at these figures, I can see that they all have four sides, but they're not all parallelograms because of my trapezoids here. So the best classification is quadrilaterals. So I'm not going to pick parallelograms because of the trapezoids there. And even though they are all polygons, that's not the best. And they're not all squares. So it's going to be A. All right, guys, hopefully you feel better now about the similar figures and the vocabulary. Make sure you're ready for the quiz. See you later.